challenge called How Many Consecutive Numbers Are Needed? Write a function that takes an array of unique integers and returns the minimum number of integers needed to make the values of the array consecutive from the lowest number to the highest number. And they give us a couple examples here, so consider 486. It should return 2 because you're missing the 5 and the 7 that would connect 4, 5, 6, 7 to 8 as shown here. And they give us another example here with negative values, just I think to show you that they're involved as well. Doesn't really matter, so don't fret that too much. But it would return 3 in this case for the reason listed. I think that's pretty clear. And it was nice that they showed us a couple trivial cases that, or how we should handle those. If you have one value, clearly there's nothing to insert to connect values, right? Because there's just one point. And then if we have the empty array, we should also return 0. So pretty clear on what they're going for here. This is your chance to pause the video, have a go at it, and resume when you're ready. Okay, I'm going to cover these trivial cases first. First, I'm going to use the array's length property. Let's give a variable name, int, I'll call it size, is equal to the array length. I'm just noting the size of the array in this case, and I'm going to check this, and I'm going to use it later in the method. That's why I decided to make a variable here. You can just call array length every time. That's fine too. So I'm going to say if the size is less than or equal to 1, right? That would imply size is 0. Size can't be less than 0. But if this basically says if the size is 0 or 1, which is these two trivial cases we have here, the challenge told us to return 0 in that case. Okay, so now provided we make it this far into our method, that means we're not dealing with the trivial case. We actually have some values to work with here. So hopefully you didn't over-engineer this and try to order numbers and, I don't know, loop through and check for gaps or something. You could do this in a simpler way. So let's step through that. I'm going to say int min. I'm going to note the minimum and the maximum values in the collection. And so to do that, if you've been with me, maybe you recall in these, I tell you to keep these enumerable Microsoft document page open, so enumerable, and it tells us all the methods available. If you recall, we have a min and a max, and they do exactly what they say, returns the maximum value in a sequence of values. Min does the exact same thing. Really straightforward. It sort of does it for you. Remember, if you wanted to do this, you can make a for loop, go through, set up a variable that says max, maybe initialize it to the first value, and then as you step through, you can update whatever the maximum is. And they would be doing something similar under the hood. They just provide us with this nice method for that. Excuse me, I'll use min here. Say int max is the array max. Okay, so now that we have the minimum and maximum, right, my idea is just to subtract those to figure out how many values are between those endpoints, and then sort of remove this size that we noted here, right? So imagine the difference between the endpoints is how many values, and then the size represents the ones we already have. So it would be the difference between how many total values span those endpoints, and then subtract out the ones we already have. Remember, these are unique integers. So what I can do something like return max minus min, which would give me the range, right? So, and then I'll subtract out the size, which is the ones we already have. And then everything left over is how many we need. Now, this isn't quite right. I'll show you a little quirk with this. But just in case you tried it this way and wondered why it was slightly off. Okay, so right now they're complaining because there's no definition of min and max. That's totally fair. You can see I did not implement any methods called min and max here. So we know we have to bring in the link library to access those, unless you want to implement them yourself. So let's run that test. You're going to see we're not quite right. I just want to show you. All right, so notice this first test with 4, 6, and 8, right? It was expecting 2, the values 5 and 7, right, from the description, but we only got 1, and let's look what we did. The max would have been 8, the min would have been 4, and size in this case was 3, right? So 8 minus 4 is 4. And if you subtract 3 from 4, you're left with 1. So yeah, they honestly reported what we returned, but we needed 2. And then just note this is sort of a quirk with counting the number of integers between two endpoints. So consider fourth, here they have it printed out for us. Consider 4 through 8, right? Even though if you take 8 minus 4, it's 4, there's actually 5 values in here if you include both endpoints. See, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So all you have to do is add a plus 1 to account for this sort of counting thing. And then if you test again, you should see that goes away. Green. And we are ready to submit. So yeah, hopefully you didn't over-engineer something, but even if you did, it's great practice. Don't feel bad. A lot of times you just don't see it, and then you'll submit these challenges and you'll see somebody who did a one-liner or something really simple, and you're like, oh yeah, I could have done it that way, or I didn't even know you could do that. That's why I really encourage you to look at other people's solutions. And then of course, right, we didn't have to make these little temporary variables here either. You could just put these right in place. So I could say rate max for max. If you value sort of having shorter answers, you could do something like this. Let's see if that's still happy. And again, you could have used array length everywhere I used size. In fact, let's do that too. Oh, didn't mean to do that. And we'll do array length here. I'm gonna make this attempt again because we technically modified the code. And so yeah, I'll go ahead and submit mine like this. Yeah, sometimes it's worth taking time before you jump right into code to think about things a little bit in case you did get stuck over engineering something. And here you go. Some nice one-liners for you there. Yeah, feel free to go through these. You can see it's some of it's a lot similar to what we did. And this one, you could see they actually generated a range of values between the minimum and the maximum. So maybe it gives you some ideas. You know what to do. Check through. You know where to find me if you have any questions. I welcome those. I appreciate the likes and subs. Otherwise, we'll keep trucking here, and I will see you in another video. Thank you.